Prior to our July 3rd game, our annual July 3rd game, we had, I think last season we had 3 sellouts, and our July 3rd game was our 8th sellout at this point. So it's one of those where it's definitely been an added bonus. So I mean, when you have days like this, I mean, to have like a grass berm out there and be able to sit and kind of go out there and know you're going to be able to catch foul balls on a pretty regular basis, that's kind of a neat thing, and I think it's been a big draw for a lot of people, I think. Yes, sir. Yes, the Cheney organization was part of the group that helped finance the renovation, so they're very much a partner with us. We work with Brad Cheney on a regular basis. Yes, sir.
What about some of your pitching prospects?
Well, yesterday, that's a good point, we had Erasmo Ramirez, who is a 21-year-old Nicaraguan. He started for us, and he came very close to tossing our first 9-inning complete game shutout last night. He struck out 11 batters, which is the most we've had in well over a year. So that's one of them. We have Anthony Vasquez, who, whenever we made the trade and we lost Doug Fister, he was one of those that a lot of people thought might make the jump over to the majors. He is a left-hander for us out of San Antonio. He's also a Texas dude, and he's one of those that, while he doesn't have a whole lot of overpowering speed, he knows that he's got about 4 pitches and knows how to use them. So he's one of those to keep an eye on as well. Those are 2 of our big ones right now. So.
Can you explain the concept of options? Because you have a lot of, like you mentioned, the outfielders in Tacoma have been up with the big team, and then they're down and they're up, and is there a limit in the number of times that can happen, and you know, that kind of thing?
Whenever when a player starts out, usually the younger players, there is a ceiling to how many times they can be boosted back from the minor leagues back to the majors, back down to the minors and such. What the ceiling is for our guys, I'm not sure, but it's one of those, after they run out of that, they either have to, that's where you come up with the term designated for assignment, and that's where they have a period where they can either be traded, they have to clear waivers, and they can come back to the team on the major league, or on the minor league roster, or they are just outright released, and that's like the process that like Jack Cust went through recently. So, but usually more veteran guys, it's the DFA is kind of what happens whenever, as opposed to getting sent down to the minors. Yes, sir. He does not, no longer, no sir. We changed ownership this offseason, so we are no longer working with Nick Lachey. But we did, we got all the way to the AAA championship game last season, and he was very much an entity for us. So that was a neat experience for a whole other host of reasons. So we got to, all the ladies in the office got to satisfy their boy band needs with having him around. So that was interesting. Yes, sir.
How many people make up the total ownership of the team?
I'm not sure what the final number is. Michael Thompson, he's based out of Bellevue, is the face of it. But what the total number there, I know they're still working on it.
Are there any real differences between the Rainiers and other minor league teams? Do you feel that your team is different in any way, or do they pretty much all work in the same manner?
The biggest difference, I think, is the proximity factor. The fact that we are just a 40-minute drive from the big league club it's very unusual. So I was prior to coming here, I was in Memphis, and it was a 2.5-3 hour drive to St. Louis and some of that. But to be able to work in conjunction with some of that, I mean, we have big league coaches come down. Like if they have an off day, they'll come down and see us and visit with those and interact with these players, whether they're on the 40-man roster or the 25-man roster or any of that. They'll talk to these guys. And to have that kind of relationship, I think, that's an extremely unusual thing. And I think it's something that in the long run will benefit us a whole lot. So while the major league product may not be where you want it to be right now, it's one of those where there's a real opportunity to groom a lot of those guys to be successful up there. And I think like Ackley's one, he's definitely an example of that. And Mike Karp, one of those guys who you want to use the word option, I mean, he was optioned down to us several different times, and then to see that finally click working with some of those guys, I think that's a huge advantage for us. So that's really a neat thing, and we were in Memphis. While we stayed in contact with those guys, the relationship wasn't there like it is here. So that's really a neat byproduct of being so close to those guys. Yes, sir.
With all the young major leaguers that have gone up this season, for the first half of the season, the Rainiers were mired in 4th place and playing .450 ball, and now you bring all your good players up, and now they're playing over 500. Anybody explain that?
Are you talking about why the Rainiers are playing over 500 ball right now?
Yeah, I mean, all their...
I mean, a lot of that has to do with, like, you look at Reno, and the reason that they were doing as well as they were doing is because they had these guys who are now with Arizona. So it could be that we could be seeing the benefits of seeing a lot of those guys getting called up as well. So we're dependent upon other big league teams as well. So while it's kind of interesting, you see guys like Cody Ransom, who's leading the league in just about everything. He's now with the Diamondbacks, and then it's a noticeable absence with Reno, who's their AAA team. Just to see I think over their last 16 games, they're 2-14 maybe. So that's one of those where we don't necessarily need to tear the cover off the ball. We just need to stay steady, and we can make up ground up. So, yes, sir.
How does Cheney's capacity compare to the other?
We're considerably lower capacity than a lot of other teams, and that's the reason that we're able to stay AAA and stay in the PCL is because we're kind of grandfathered in. So while a lot of those stadiums can hold, say, 15,000 plus people, it's still like your average major league game. Minor league game, they're getting a fraction of that. So it's one of those where we can have these people, and it looks like we've got a packed house, and you've got this intimate setting, and it is kind of it's a little more of a powerful experience, I think, than say like in Memphis, where you have it's a Monday night, and maybe September rolls around and people are starting school, and you don't have the crowd that you necessarily want. It's a different experience in that sense.
So what is your capacity?
We are right around about 7,500, a little under that. So I think official capacity is 7,423.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you still do all those wonderful stand nights, a lot of promotions, like 20-cent beer night?
No, but I was actually talking to somebody who had worked. He did a little bit what I did understand, and he was telling me about some of those. And they sound like something we might need to bring back. I don't know if the 20-cent beer is possible.
You get in the ballpark free, and your concessions were full price, but it was full a lot in the 70s.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. So a lot of it is just getting guys there, and even if we just do it rarely, and they get the experience and realize that that something can be a lot of fun. That. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely, Stan was definitely an innovator in a lot of that stuff. So that's what it sounds like.
Cool. Excellent.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
Warren mentioned Nacarado. The one I loved was they had a kid's swimming pool or somewhat bigger container, and they filled it with, it was Nally's night, and they filled it with Nally's chili, and then they took a car key. They had some kind of used car, and they put it in there, and then they pulled the name, and you could wallow around in the chili looking for this car key. And they did it. I went one year to about 3 or 4 games, and they had the chili night each time, and I then started wondering if it's a lot of chili. Was it the same chili? Never could figure that out. Yeah, check on that one. If you'll pull it, then reach around. Don't take the first one. Okay. Okay.
Chase Cohen?
Chase
Cohen?
Al? Wonderful. And take one more. Okay. This is our backup hitter.
Reed Paget?
No, that's it. So we really should take one instead of one. Now, we have a lottery, a raffle. Well, you took the one on the top. That's okay. Okay, you want to read that one up?
Every number?
Try the last 3.
Last 448?
Okay.